What is Buyer Agent Game Plan? It's your step-by-step strategic plan to navigate the new home buying rules in residential real estate. My name is Tracy Thrower-Conyers, longtime real estate broker and former class action consumer lawyer. I'm the creator and instructor for this 8-module course. I've been in the real estate industry for over 2 decades. First, as co-founder of a company bringing MLS listings to the web even before Zillow, and later as a production agent and then broker. Before real estate, I was a consumer class action attorney representing consumers, which gives me a very different perspective on real estate versus any other broker or agent, even attorneys turned broker agents. I've always been very consumer-focused in real estate, and I've always favored buyers as clients. Don't tell my seller clients I said that because I love them too, but honestly, I really dig buyers with all their strategic choices to be made throughout the course of their transaction. Being consumer-focused and preferring buyers are both very unusual for senior agents like myself. And both led me to my recent pivot to online education for real estate consumers. I'm still in production in West LA, but find myself spending more and more time on this idea of helping consumers make more advantageous real estate choices on a bigger scale than beyond my local community, where I would typically work as an agent. That's about me. Let's talk about why I developed this course at this time. There was a seismic change in residential real estate in August 2024. Courtesy of a couple of recent class action lawsuits, we are now faced with 3 big shifts in the way residential real estate is conducted. First, buyers now have to sign representation agreements with agents in the earliest stages of the relationship. This is hugely different than historic practices when many buyers felt free to readily change agents throughout their home buying journey. This lack of allegiance led to a saying among agents that buyers are liars. It also led to most experienced agents gravitating more to sellers where contractual relationships were the norm. Second, buyers are now responsible for making sure their agents get paid. This is also radically different from historic practice, where sellers negotiated generous commissions of 5 to 6% with their listing agents, but then the listing agents shared some portion of that amount with buyer agents, meaning that buyers did not have to come out of pocket to pay for their independent representation. Third, sellers are still able to pay for the buyer's agent, but the listing agent cannot advertise this fact on the MLS, and since paying is optional, buyers and their agents will have to do some investigation to find out whether the seller will pay for the buyer's agent. This sounds easy enough, but it's optional for the listing agent to return phone calls and texts. There might be ethical obligations, but it's all too easy for the listing agent to claim they just missed your call. I talk about all of these changes throughout the course of Buyer Agent Game Plan. But for now, just let me say that in my personal opinion as a longtime real estate professional and former consumer class action attorney, that these class action lawsuits were idiotic. They were based on a false narrative about our industry and resulted in nothing more than chaos in exchange for a huge windfall for the attorneys. Also, in my opinion, there were a couple of improvements, but those improvements pale in comparison to the disruption and other negative consequences brought about by these lawsuits. I'm completely annoyed for consumers who likely do not even know that what just happened is not in their best interests in the least. In fact, what consumers know likely came from the mainstream media, who were reporting that commissions would drop dramatically and everything would suddenly be rainbows and unicorns for home buyers and home sellers. Those were nice clickbaity headlines, But newsflash, in actual reality, good agents are not going to take less money for services unless they are cutting those services. Full stop, period. But being mad about these developments is what led me to drop everything and spend 4 months developing Buyer Agent Game Plan and its supporting materials. I'm determined to help buyers make the most of the tools available to them to leverage the highest and best possible outcome when buying a home, even despite the new roadblocks imposed. In the Buyer Agent Game Plan course, I cover many topics, including whether you even need an agent to buy your next home. Agents are expensive. I understand that. Could you possibly buy a home without an agent? I talk about that in depth in the course. I also talk about new models of representation that are emerging in light of the commission lawsuits, designed to help you save some money. Strategies to get the seller to pay for your agent even after the lawsuits. How to evaluate your transaction readiness and why it matters when picking an agent. The best places to find agent candidates to interview. What questions to ask those candidates to uncover desirable and undesirable agent attributes. And I also discuss and explain the new buyer representation agreements, going over an actual agreement in one of the modules, and much more. All of this is accomplished with an 8-module curriculum that could be covered in a couple of hours of your time. But the course is self-paced, and you choose how much time it takes you to get through the material. By the end of the course, you will feel ready to find, vet, and hire the right agent for your unique situation, and then go on to buy your next home with ease and confidence. If you haven't yet downloaded my free Buyer Agent Game Plan checklist, pick it up at buyeragentgameplan.com. Each item on the checklist corresponds to a module in the course, and the lessons in each module are designed to allow you to check off one more milestone in developing your personal buyer agent game plan. I also want to mention that there is an 80-plus page workbook available to enhance your learning in this course, as well as an entire catalog of supporting checklists. Find all of it in my Learning Center at realtalklearning.com. Look for the Buyer Agent Game Plan collection. I'm rooting for you.